Welcome, Mountain Mamas, to our downhill ski instruction training. First off, I wanted to let you know that we're super excited to be teaching skiing and snowboarding this year. So we'll have future videos about that. And also, our main resource for ski instruction comes from a YouTube series called Elate Media. E as in Echo, L-A, T as in Tom, E, and then the second word media. If you Google that, it'll get you a whole series of videos from 1.1, like putting on boots and how to walk in boots and, and slide on snow that first day, to 7-point, etc., extreme skiers and picking up tips. I honestly love to kind of find out where I am on the spectrum and watch a little video before I go skiing, just to kind of brush up on my own skills and stuff. So Elate Media is a fantastic resource, and we have a link for it on our trainings page under skills downhill skiing. So definitely check that out. This is going to be kind of a brief compilation of all those skills all together. And I'm just going to run through things a little quicker, but if you need more detail, then you can reference those videos. First off, I know a lot of us, I'm going to be talking about a little bit about kids too, because I know a lot of you moms out there are going to be teaching your own children, and that's always exciting at best. So just some things that I want you to have on your radar when you've got a little one that you're taking skiing. And we started our girls at 2, not a lot, maybe once or twice a season when they're 2 and 3 and things like that. Mostly it's just holding them under your arms and just getting them the feel of snow and using their feet and putting weight on things and stuff. You can put the little clamp on the tips of their skis to kind of help them keep them in a little triangle so they're not going too crazy fast. And as they get older and more coordinated, then you can like let go and let them do it on their own. You can do harnesses. I've seen hula hoops, lots of things. Some people are better just hands off. If you're on a really, my preference is usually hands off because the kids need to feel their own weight, and just try a real slow, gradual slope. So that's usually my preference. Honestly, those of you guys who've taught kids to ski, I think one of your biggest steps is getting them to stand on their own. That's even in the ski lift line. I don't know. Anyway, so we want them to, start feeling their own power as they're starting to move forward. Some things I like to make sure I've got, of course, we're all using helmets nowadays. So my dad, who loved to not have helmets, this is the new year, the new century where we all ski with helmets. It's different than a bike helmet. Obviously, we've got more protection, insulation, protects the ears, foam on the ears. This is an awesome little ski helmet. We can pick them up at swaps for like $5, $10. So just keep an eye on our website. We'll let you know when those are. But yeah, get your kids into helmets. It keeps them warmer. And then we also have, and then a good little pair of goggles. And then these are, balaclavas. I really like these. Anytime you've got any sort of, if it's overcast or windy or anything like that, throwing this on your kid so they can see. This is for their eyes, of course, and then it covers their nose and mouth. Make sure they try it on before they get on the mountains, because sometimes my kids feel like they're suffocating or the eye holes are all like skiwampus. And so, but that'll make a world of difference. Also hand warmers. This is for anyone. If you're thinking it's going to be cold at all, open those up in your car on the drive up, throw them in your gloves, in your boots, and that'll make everyone's day much happier. So as far as, let's start with poles. Usually littles and at any age beginners, we don't start them with poles for quite a while until they're starting to even carve. For me personally, I just feel like there's a lot going on with your feet and your body positioning and things like that. Poles just get in the way. That being said, when you are ready for poles, you want to make sure that your sizing is right. So you want to grab a pole like this and have it on the ground, and you want your arm to be at a right angle. So that is the right size for downhill skiing. So give or take, but generally a good right angle. That's great. There's a zillion cool kinds of poles. Obviously you want to have a basket at the end, but we can pick these up for super cheap at swaps too. So I feel like I break them enough that, you just get something that feels good and comfortable for you. Now skis, I'm going to start with kid skis first. Generally, so if you want a ski sizing chart, there's plenty of those online. You put in your weight, your height, and your skiing ability. Now, ability is a big important part because the the less advanced you are. If you're a beginner, the skis are going to be shorter. Advanced is going to, their skis are going to be higher. A general rule of thumb for adults at least is to have your ski around this area. If you're just like, don't know anything about skis, I'm just going to go grab something. And then, yeah, this is kind of the zone you're looking for. And then you can get online and find something very specific in what you're looking for. For kids, it's similar. I usually go this range-ish because a lot of times if you've got the money and you can get some nice pair of kids skis, then more power to you. It's tricky because kids grow out of them like in a year or two. So unless you've got them want to buy like a zillion pairs of skis, usually you're renting them. We get a lot of our skis at the swaps. And so that's basically what we look for. This is an old pair of Salomon skis. They're a little high for my 7th grader, or 7-year-old. But she'll probably grow into them next year. So, you just kind of do the best you can. So also you'll notice that skis are a lot fatter on the front, the top, narrow in the middle, and fat on the tails. Usually your skis will come with 3 numbers. So it'll be the number for the width in centimeters for the top, width, and tail. So yeah, and if you've got, these are like those cool skinny ones from the 90s. Anyway, and pointy ones. I've got a pair. These are my powder skis. So you can see they're a lot thicker. Tail to toe, tail to tip. Anyway, these are just meant for deeper powder snow. Your all mountain skis, if you were just a beginner trying to get basic skis, shoot for all mountain skis. And they're usually a little bit more narrow. And they have cool carving skis, lots of cool stuff out there. So anyway, lots of options with skis. Now, if you've got a pair of skis and you're trying to put your boots, you yourself can fit your boots into your own bindings. It's nothing hard. If you watch them do it at the ski tune shops, like it's not a big deal. So what you do is you've got your binding, your front and your back, your brake here. This keeps your ski from flying down the mountain. You take your boot, you're going to put it in the tip here, and we're going to push down the end here. Which is hard when I'm standing, but all right. And you can see I've got a nice seal there around the heel. Now, for some reason, it's not snapping in because it's too narrow or it's too loose. You can pull it out and pull it in really easily. Then you've got a little screw on the back here of all skis. This you can do with a flathead screwdriver, and you literally just screw it back and forth until it matches in nice and snug. Now on the front of your ski binding, you have a DIN setting, D-I-N. So that has everything to do with your experience level and your weight. So if you're a beginner, you're going to have a lower DIN rating. My cute little 7-year-old has a DIN rating of 0.75. Well, 1 point something. My 4-year-old or 3-year-old has a 0.7. Anyway, the idea is that that's the rating for this binding to release if somebody crashes. So you want your beginners to have bindings that are going to release pretty easily, but not too easily. So if you're on the mountain or actually at home and you're trying to figure out your DIN setting, just type in, get on a computer and do your size and your weight and your experience level, and it'll be able to give you a number. And you'll see these numbers are right here on both sides. And you're going to want, there's a little line in there. You want to match that up to that number. And you can do that by adjusting the front. There's usually a flathead, or I usually use flathead. Some have like a cross, like a Phillips screwdriver option, but you just twist that until you get the DIN setting right. So don't be afraid of changing your DIN settings and messing around with those, trying to figure things out. It's always nice to have a screwdriver, or I know, I feel like most ski shops, if you're at a resort, would have something that you could come and check. If you're on the mountain and your skis are popping up all the time, and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to crank that up to a higher number. Or if you crashed and your skis didn't come off and it freaked you out and you thought you're going to break your leg, then you can crank it down to a lower number. So you're always able to do some adjustments and stuff like that. All right, so that's DIN. So that's kind of like basic ski stuff. Always, if you get a chance to tune your skis at least once a season, whether you're a springtime person or at the end of the season or the beginning of the season, either one. The nice thing about tuning your skis, what they'll do is they're going to wax these bad dogs, make this nice and smooth, fill in any cuts. Like a lot of times you're going to ski over rocks and junk, and you're going to get these gouges in here. If you ever get like a one to the base, you'll notice that it's like a different color. That's not as great. So you really want to make sure someone takes good care of that, or else it's going to start rotting your base here. But yeah, so ski tune job will smooth this out, fill in all the wax, and then they sharpen these nice metal edges and make skiing a dream for you. So definitely invest in that if you want. And then in this fall, we're going to be doing probably like early winter, we'll do an in-person ski training for ski tuning. So you'll be able to come in person and do that as well with us, and we'll show you how to do that. So except we don't have a metal grinder. So outside of that, we'll show you all the other ways to take good care of your skis and get them ready for the season. So into skiing lessons. So I told you before, we're going to be using Elate Media's kind of techniques of skiing. So all those out there are assistant ski guides, and then any woman or whoever out there who wants to teach people, these are kind of the techniques that we like to use. So my first tip is to get somebody into skis, into their boots, and just have them walk around and feel what that just feels like. For kids, you're like, it's like you got robot boots, you know, just feel it, have them walk around either the rental place or at home or something like that, and feel your boots and make sure that feels okay. And then put them into the skis and do it on a flat surface. If you're preferably, I like to do it in a carpeted area before you even get on the snow, and practice just sliding your skis back and forth and just kind of feeling what that's like. Maybe lean back and forth, and then even walk around a little bit and just kind of see how much weight is on their feet. It's good for them to feel that, so they're not getting so freaked out. And of course, we're not going to do poles when they first start. So that's kind of a little lesson. So 1.1 is gear, just getting gear done. If you got littles, that as far as you do on that first time. I don't know. All right, then 1.2, we do side stepping up. So you're going to get onto a flat piece of snow, and you turn your skis like they have edges like this. And we're going to, if this is our mountain slope, we'll do the edges, and we're going to just practice walking up sideways. Now, obviously, if we put our skis this direction, we're going to slide down the mountain. So you want to be perpendicular to your slope, but practice walking up, walking down, and just feeling the edges of your skis. And then once you feel those edges, then practice just pulling off those edges and feeling yourself slide, and then stop. So edge, slide, stop, edge, slide, stop. And that is a great place to start your lesson. 1.3 is now we start getting into motion, and we're going to start the snow plow, the wedge, also called pizza, or the A. And the idea is that your skis are ahead of you like this in a wedge shape. And that action, this is parallel and wedge, French fry, pizza, whatever you want to call it. This is go, this is stop. So we want to get our individual in a wedge position. And even you might even have them practice wedging and parallel, pizza, French fry on flat snow, just that doing that motion before we even hit a slope. And then the slope you want to choose is nice and wide and super gradual as you can get it to be. Will make a beginner, help a beginner to be really confident. One of our favorite places right now is up at Alta Ski Lift. They have a snow pine quad lift. So, and it's for free for all beginners. So that's the one we like to do. But anywhere you can find like a rope toe or a nice beginner slope is fantastic. All right. So 1.3 snow plow. If you're able to do, we call it an assist. If you're on a really flat place, which is the best, just practice them getting into a wedge to the point where they're not going to be able to move that far. Like a wedge stops them pretty quickly. And you might even try pushing. This is what I really like to do. If they're on a flat surface, you push gently from behind and have them do a wedge and feel that power to stop. So we haven't even gotten on a slope yet, you know, so they're going and then they wedge just as you're gently pushing them. So that's an assisted snowplow. And then we can get onto a slope, nice and gradual, and they're going to just start doing that snowplow on their own. The best way is to put your hands on your thighs and focus straight down the mountain. And just happen to go nice and straight. Bring that wedge in a little bit, and then wedge, and then in a little bit, and then wedge. Yeah, seems to be good. By putting your hands on your thighs, it helps bring your body position forward a little bit better too. Sometimes I'll have kids put their arms out in the star, put their arms on their hips, What we don't want is just like arms just kind of dangling wherever, because they have a tendency to go way back, and kids fall backwards when they do that. So so if when we're doing the snow plow, put your hands on your thighs at first, just to practicing that snow plow. All right, now doing snow plow turn. So that would be your first, I would say that'd be your first run. Stop and go all the way down the mountain. Now you'll notice, and they'll notice too, sometimes when you stop with one side is stronger than the other, they'll start to turn. So we will, on this first lesson, we want to focus on equal pressure on both skis. So if they start pushing, if they're starting to turn, say, okay, now try and push more on that other side. Let's try and do this evenly and focus on even stopping wedges. So after we've done that, the go and the stop, essentially, I don't like anyone to get too far into skiing until they know how to stop. So once a kid or an adult knows how to stop with the wedge, I feel like their confidence grows a lot. So for our next round down the ski run, you'll want to do snow plow turns. Now this is the next step. So that's kind of the idea that you already were doing by pushing a little bit more pressure on one side or the other. You'll start to create that you all start to turn. I like to have them alternate legs, push on this side, push on that side. We're gonna go nice back and forth, big turns, nice and big turns all the way across the whole slope. Helps them feel a lot more confident and comfortable. So that's usually your first day. That's all we're gonna get to, if you get that far even. So if you can do a couple hours as a lesson, that's awesome. Usually I usually just shoot for 1 hour, especially the younger and the newer person. They have a little harder time to be able to go a lot longer than that on a lesson. But yeah, so that's your snow plow turns. Tips with snow plow turning lessons is you can have them play follow the leader and have them try and follow you. Be really patient, because sometimes they're just getting so lost on the mountain. And this is where it helps if you can ski backwards, because you can you just invert your skis into an opposite wedge down in front of them, and they can ski kind of following you backwards, and you can kind of see how their how their form is and things like that. So that's your 1.1, that's 1.4. So 1.1 to 1.4 lessons. 1.5 is just more a lesson about, and these are the videos, you do the late medium video. So 1.5 has to deal with your stance and keeping your knees bent. You'll graduate from hands on the thighs to hands out in front of you like this. I usually just, you can put them in a fist or just kind of keep them relaxed, but keeping them in front of you helps bring your full body position forward, which puts you in a really good position for learning how to parallel ski later. It also gives you better balance for jumping and things like that if your kids are into that, or if you're into that. I don't mean this to be all kids. So, so that's your stance. Getting up after a crash. Sometimes I like to introduce this a little earlier than this point, because you probably are crashing more often. So if you want to throw this in as your like second lesson after we got on skis, the best way to get up after a crash is to put your skis together perpendicular to the mountain. So we're not going to slide down the mountain. So wherever your limbs are, bring your skis to untangle. It helps to have someone else sometimes, and get your skis perpendicular to the mountain. And then you're going to put your knees, you're going to get up onto your knees, and then put your poles in the, get your poles together in your hand, and then use your hands to kind of gently push yourself up. And I usually, if you've got a nice slope, you can push up sideways off the slope. But yeah, have somebody, make sure your beginners practice that so they feel comfortable getting up. I feel like a lot, especially of adults who aren't able to get up after crashes, just want to end skiing, because if they can't get up, they get really frustrated. So make sure you take some time to focus on that. Absolutely. Then we start moving into our advanced beginner ski lessons, the level 2s. 2.1 is when we start really advancing our wedge turn. It's called committing to that wedge turn. And I like to, in lesson 2.2, he talks about, as I'm turning this way on my skis, the downhill ski, I'm going to put my hands instead of, so we're going to start in a neutral position, and I'm going to go down, like having my hands out in front, gets my knees bent, getting a good stance here. And then as I ski down, and this is my downhill ski, I'm going to take my hands and put them on the outside of that thigh. What that does is commit my whole body weight to put weight on that downhill ski, which is really important. And I'll do that all the way through that turn. And then when I come back to a straight position, I get my arms back up here until I get to another turn. And then I'm going to put my hands on this outside. That is a huge technique, and being able to teach someone how to put weight on the downhill ski. This will make a huge difference because as you're able to do that, your uphill ski is gonna, as you're taking the weight off of it, will naturally after time want to slide in next to that downhill ski, and you'll automatically start parallel skiing and doing parallel turns. It's fantastic. So feel free to look at the Elate videos. I think they're great. They're going to spell these out in a lot more detail. I'm going to post on our Facebook page and on our website kind of a index for the video, so it's a little easier to read. I kind of broke it down from lesson 1.1 to 4.4. So usually that's kind of the group we're teaching, are either beginners up to like, you know, mediums, low intermediate skiers. So hopefully that was helpful, and I wish you all luck in teaching everyone how to ski. Do we have any questions from any of our viewers? No, we're good. Answered all your questions. All right, feel free to, I'm gonna say text or email me. You've got my number, but we're grateful to have you, and have a wonderful night.